moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. As I've been introduced, my name is Sihle Madonsela from ACT, and I will present a presentation on circular economy, a strategy for rural communities around specific areas. It seems it should be the ground has been set by previous speakers before me, I've noticed, and it kind of make my presentation easy, and I feel much of the things in my presentation I won't have to dwell too much on. First, we know the currently pervasive economic model that is practiced, the linear economy, which is based on raw material extraction, manufacturing, and consumption. And it's based on high consumption of energy, and throughout the production process, there's a high creation of waste, and at the end of life of the product, we notice that problematic waste is created, which then affects our natural systems, as we've seen earlier. An alternative exists, but why there's still a model like a linear model that's kind of existing now? Maybe some of the reason might be that it's the capacity to make the rich richer. Looking at the alternative, the circular economy. Maybe one of the things I should mention about the linear economy is that it doesn't match up with the increasing population and the depleting natural resources. Excuse me. And on the other side, the circular economy is restorative in nature, in the sense that renewable energy is used, and during the manufacturing and design, it's done in a way that there is no waste, because biological resources, they can either be returned back to be part of the biosphere and recycled, or else they can be reconstituted into new products. And on the other hand, the technical nutrients, by the technical nutrients, are those nutrients that are from alloys which cannot degrade back into the biosphere. And then, you see, as the life cycle of the product continues, the resource input is no longer virgin material. It's the material that is recovered here, because it's even when during the design, it's in a way that it's easy to disassembly and use it again. Comparing the linear and circular economy, we see that there are high environmental some of the environmental costs brought by the linear economy. On the other hand, on the circular economy, we find that it's very friendly to the environment. The example I'll use here is a company in Holland where they lease jeans. They don't sell you a jean. You get into contract with them to use the jean and rent for it. And at the end of the contract, there are many other options, including returning the jean to them. When you return the jean to them, and then they will dissolve that jean and then make it into a new fabric, and then the garment then can be tailored, which is as new and the quality is as of a new pair of jeans. And also their production process make sure that they diminish waste, water use, and inputs from raw material. Take note of this shape, you will see it later in the presentation. Because of the way in the circular model production is done, it's minimized waste. So the problems we've seen earlier in our, especially say, water system, can be solved by this production method, because we want to see the waste we saw in the previous presentation, though it will also take time to achieve that as well, because we know the ecological infrastructure is important in the provision of those of our ecosystem services. I will use water here because water is one of the very important ecosystem services we find from nature. Like right now, just take a sip because I feel nervous. Excuse me. I'm one of the beneficiaries of the ecosystem services provided by the catchment area. It needs maintenance, management, and restoration, which can be achieved by dedicating time, effort, and finances to it. And they need to be identified. We saw in the previous session in this room that they mentioned that the survey of the ecological infrastructure is also important. And also the community government structures need to integrate ecological infrastructure into planning and expenditure. Reference to there's a framework produced by SANPI for investing in ecological infrastructure, which can be consulted. So I will use the problem here. We have seen that some of the problems can come from alien infestation, which will affect the water flow. So the users need to come into parts and invest in this infrastructure. But the people who feel the blow the most are those poor rural communities. Excuse me. Because they are the one who feel the blow from environmental instabilities that are brought, that takes place. Because we know if the integrity of our environment is undermined, diversity and the quality of a system, then it cannot be able to provide those services that can include flood attenuation, water purification, and if you can go to coastal areas, storm surge protection by the dunes, that service might not be there if we put concrete structures in the coast. Coming back here, and then, so it's important then those communities engage in healing. I'm saying healing here because you cannot, though it's desirable, but you cannot achieve the former states completely of the disturbed environment. But better to give it a try and, excuse me. So they need to be supported in their endeavor to take care of their environment. But they cannot do this without addressing their socio-economic needs, because these people live off land and they also need to survive. So ways that are friendly to the environment need to be introduced, and they need to be supported in them while they are taking care of their environment. And then if that can be achieved and they can produce their own food, and then they can be able to be part of this, and this will be eliminated, and then we can then go back to the states where the ecosystem services, in this case water provision, can be retained back. Okay. We see here that I'm using this as an analog for a healthy functional states of our environment containing valuable ecological infrastructure. And because the environment is not a regular thing, then the linear economics are not rendered a misfit to the environment. Contrast that with the circular economy, which is by design a good fit to the environment because they are generally sustainable. And then by doing this, then we can achieve a state where we set ground for circular economy to take part in this situation and identify the users, which in this case are the communities and businesses that are involved or are part of sustainable livelihoods. And then we can achieve a state where the people can continue with their livelihoods, and the environment is being taken care of. I will use a hypothetical position example where a municipality will fund a project to teach people in engaging in production methods that are friendly to the environment, and then hence protecting the ecological infrastructure. Those people grow their food in a sustainable way. The neighboring lodges, then they can buy this food because it will lead to a local economic development supporting this community. And if those relationships are created between the present areas and the neighboring communities, there will be good relationships between them can be created. And then things like what Pindile was presenting earlier, those partnerships where people are allowed to come into the reserve and harvest the resources inside that are in a way that it's sustainable. Those partnerships can start to take place. An example I'll make here is when, let's say, a traditional healer is part of this. You cannot then say he must stop his practice of being a traditional healer. You might find that some of the medicinal plants that he needs are in the reserve. So then the reserve manager can incorporate that where possible in his management plan, and then a partnership can be made where he can be allowed to come in a controlled way to harvest that resource sustainably. And then also tourists from other places can visit the country, and they will like to be part of a system where they are buying organic food produced by local people. And then by that you can see that development goals can be achieved, like poverty alleviation, local economic development in rural areas, and skills development. And then protected and conservation areas can get benefits because this, if this relationship is created, then they can get a sort of relief from illegal activities like illegal logging, illegal harvesting of traditional plants and other resources, and also poaching. Thank you.